You can feel summer is settling in. School is almost out, families are planning camps for their kids, and the beach will be in view for many people around the country in the next couple of months. One industry that has always thrived in the spring and summer is live events. When COVID came more than a year ago, the industry was decimated. Concert venues, outdoor amphitheaters, dive bars, and everything in between were forced to shut down, including all of the performers who depend on these places to be open to make a living. What falls through the cracks, though, are the people who put these shows on. The men and women who set up the staging, the audio equipment, the lighting, everything that brings a live experience together. They were the people out of work the longest. That's starting to change as states reopen, and today I have a very special guest here to talk about getting back out to see your favorite shows. Michael Brammer is a partner at Special Event Services who helps some of the biggest touring acts in the world, like Joe Bonamassa, Zach Brown Band, Hootie and the Blowfish, the Avett Brothers, and more put on the experiences you remember. He joins me now on the Sound of Southern Charm podcast to talk more about how they're prepping to get back out on the road and how you can feel safer when you attend their events. Thanks for being here, Michael.
Thanks for having me, Stephen.
Absolutely. So I want to give everyone out there listening an opportunity to hear exactly what Special Event Services does, because there's a lot of different facets to your business model.
Yeah, so SES is one company in a network of 10 companies founded by my father. He started in the nightclub business back in 1976
Nice.
and then partnered with a guy by the name of Jeff Cranfield in 1986 to launch SES, and from that came the other 9 companies. We are a network of companies that are completely vertically integrated in the entertainment industry, and we can take on a concert, tour, festival, conference, whatever type of event you may have from top to bottom, from the ground covering that you stand on, the stage that you play under, the seats that you sit in, the sound, the lights, the video, the rigging, and then the trucks and buses to get you there.
Wow. So you're talking about with the buses and the trucks, like you're literally talking about like the act themselves, whomever is actually on the buses that you outfit.
Yes. Yeah, we have our bus company is called Musical Coaches, and we run about 16 coaches, a couple of them being the star coaches that the artist will ride in, and then we have the band and crew buses as well.
Nice. Well, let's get right in it then, because I just read from the Small Business Administration in its most recent shuttered venue report. I cringe at even that report is even titled that way. But it says that the SBA has received around 10,000 applications for relief that have been all the way submitted, and another 12,000 have started that process. So how is SES specifically impacted?
Yeah, so the shuttered venues grant, that's interesting because while it applies to the venues, and we're so glad they're getting help, that doesn't apply to the people that help the venues. So we are excluded from that grant.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, but no harm, no foul there.
Right.
So SES was impacted, and our companies were impacted on March the 12th, 2020. It was like we hit a brick wall going 100 miles an hour.
Wow.
We had over the fall and winter of 2019 been set up to have our biggest year ever by a margin of probably 50% in 2020. So we had hired people, we had bought equipment, we had been deep in fabricating new stage structures. We were in the thick of it, and March the 12th came and we got cut off at the pass. That day, I was in San Francisco visiting a client. My father was on a site survey in another city in North Carolina.
Sure.
We had another partner was in Mississippi with a client. Load-in was stopped. Trucks had just hit the dock, and our phones they all rang at the same time, said, "Bring it home. We're shutting down."
Oh, talk about a gut punch.
Yeah, it was. So we all kind of got our bearings. We all flew home, and then I think it was the next Tuesday, St. Patrick's Day. We all came in, sat down as partners together, and made the difficult decision to lay off over 300 people we had working for us worldwide. And our outlook, our projection showed we had lost about 90% of our projected revenue across the 10 companies.
That that is a staggering number to hear, and I know that you guys aren't alone in that. There's so
No,
many people that lost as much, and it's hard to say, but even more than that.
yeah, we're on the smaller scale of our industry. So for us to lose those numbers, I can't even imagine what some of the larger companies had lost on that day. But it was estimated that 12 million people in the entertainment industry were put out of work on March the 12th.
12 million. Wow, I don't know that I'd even heard that number, but I believe it. When you consider all the events and all the venues and things that had to close, I mean that may not even touch it. In the 15 months or so since, have you been able to get any of those workers to come back? Were they able to, or did they just have to move on and find something
Yeah.
else?
So, coming out now, it looks like we're on the other side of the doom and gloom of COVID.
Sure,
We've been slowly bringing people back online and gearing up for what looks like it's going to be a relatively good summer and fall. I say that very cautiously
absolutely.
optimistic. We did lose a few people, a few good people that we hated to see go, but they, ultimately they're responsible for feeding their families and they had to do what they had to do. But for the most part, once you get into the entertainment industry, it's in your blood and you can't
Right.
leave. So we've been able to get quite a few of our guys back.
Well, and I appreciate you, and that's part of what this podcast was I wanted to acknowledge, that it was a really difficult year for you guys and you lost some people, but at the same time, you've got to move forward. And even within that, 15 months or so, you guys were able to put on some events. Now, they weren't like what most people would consider events, but what were you able to make happen while the pandemic was going on at its highest peaks?
Yeah, so we kept a core staff on at all of our companies because they were guys that we looked at and decided that, whenever this comes back, we won't have anything left to come back to if these guys aren't still here with us. So we started digging deep and trying to figure out what we could do to keep everybody going and keep things moving and just get out and do a show here and there. We did some drive-in things. There's some local partnerships we engaged in here in Winston-Salem, and we did some larger drive-in shows down in Charlotte. And then we've one side of our business is working with religious events, churches, houses of worship. So we kind of shifted our focus to that and setting them up for success in their because churches had to stop having in-person services, they
Right.
all of a sudden had to become live streaming experts, if you
Right.
will.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we had to turn our attention really fast to helping those churches gear up and be successful in their live streaming. But, it was more just to keep things going rather than making money. It was figured out pretty early on in the pandemic that for a lot of these large format shows with the A-list artist to pay the artist and to pay the crews what they need to get and to pay for the production that they need, it was either going to be an all or nothing. So,
Right.
yeah, we kind of just hunkered down and wrote it out.
Well, I'm glad that you guys were able to do something again just to kind of keep the ball rolling, keep some people busy, just to kind of remind people, listen, we're trying to make this work and we're just trying to, hunker down until we can emerge and then hopefully everybody can enjoy what we're able to do when this is all over. And
That's exactly right.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you mentioned Winston Salem, and I want to touch on them, because the city, like Winston and Nashville, and I think like 30 some other cities, at one point last fall of 2020, they all lit their cityscapes with the red lights, or for an event that was called Red Alert.
Yeah.
Can you tell everyone what Red Alert was all about at that time?
Yeah. So Red Alert and the organization called We Make Events, it was really started in the UK because early on in the pandemic, the UK and European governments were not doing anything to help. Whereas we got, PPP assistance and the emergency disaster loans and all of that. The UK and European governments were lagging behind. So all of these entertainment workers were like, "Hey, we need to draw attention to ourselves so we can get some help." And then it spread worldwide to the US and to Canada and to Australia. And so each country, each continent kind of picked a date. And our date, the United States date last year was September 1st, where we were just trying to draw attention to this industry that felt forgotten in all of the chaos and you know in all of the madness of COVID. There was a bill sitting in the House of Representatives to go into the CARES Act called Restart, and that was really targeted at the event service providers. So it would have helped out us. It would have helped out the party rental companies. It would have helped out the staging companies, the other sound light video companies, and would have really given them support to keep their staff paid throughout 2020. And we were trying to draw attention to that and get that passed through, but that never came to be, unfortunately.
Even though that didn't happen, what did it feel like for special event services to kind of see that event and the solidarity surrounding it from like local governments who recognize, especially Winston-Salem, where you guys were
Oh
housed for
yeah.
so long? What did that solidarity kind of feel like with you guys?
It was really encouraging for us to see the response to it, to see the different bars and restaurants in Winston-Salem go, "Hey, yeah, we'll light up bread tonight." I don't think we had a light left in our warehouse that night because we put a post out on Facebook saying, "Hey, if you have a local business and you want to support our industry, come grab a light and
Yeah,
turn it on tonight." And it was awesome to see our warehouse cleaned out and our city turned red. And that's kind of the hearing from friends in other cities at other companies. That's kind of they're echoing that statement as well. It was really cool to see how many people actually recognized what we do day to day, because I like to think that if we do our job well at a concert, nobody will ever know that we're there. So
right.
to all of a sudden put the focus on us was a little bit different from what we're used to.
Absolutely. And, I'm not in the vicinity of you guys, but I definitely threw a filter on my lights in my recording studio here and sent that out on social media just, to make other people aware that, that was something that was happening at that time. But thankfully, it wasn't all bad news for SES in 2020. You guys were able to move forward with plans for a new warehouse in North Carolina. So, what will this new location that you guys have since opened? What's that going to help you achieve?
Yeah, so our warehouse, it was funny. The day we were having our meeting, St. Patrick's Day of 2020, will be a day that is engraved into my brain for two very big and very different reasons. One being that we had to have those difficult meetings and lay off our staff and kind of face this new normal. And the other being that the crane was on site at our new land here, putting up the steel uprights for our headquarters building.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was like, good lord, it was all the bad and all the good at the same time. But um, so yeah, we built throughout COVID. We built a our new headquarters facility for SES in Mocksville, North Carolina.
Okay.
Um, it's a it's a big warehouse with a lot of offices, but it's also got a rehearsal space at the far end of the warehouse. So
Okay.
we had this warehouse was about 15 years in the making, and we had finally at the end of 2018 figured out we have stretched and uh, made work as much as we possibly could our place in downtown Winston. And as much as we loved the story behind it and the history of that building, it was time to move.
Sure.
So we came out west of town, bought 15 acres, and really were able to design our dream facility and set up a space that we can grow into over the next 3 decades or so. And the warehouse that we have now, the main building's just phase one of a much larger plan that hopefully we'll see come to fruition in the next you know over the next couple decades. But as bad of a time as it was financially to build the warehouse, it was such a morale booster for our guys, and even the guys that were laid off, it was a sign of hope for them, like, hey, this is still moving forward. We're going to be able to go back. Things are going to go back to normal at some point. So we're so thankful and fortunate that we were able to continue with this project and get moved in here.
Right. So, and when you say rehearsal space, is that for like you guys setting up what a potential tour is going to look like, or is that for the artist to come in? Like, what is that rehearsal space?
Both. It's just a big clear area in the back of the warehouse where we can take systems that we're building for tours or festivals, really prep them, then fly them, make sure everything's working. Or if we have an artist that needs a space to come in and rehearse before their tour goes out, they can come in, they can do lighting programming, the band can come in and rehearse. Yeah, it's all the above.
Wow. I would think that's a great opportunity for the artist to kind of come in and see, what exactly you guys are working on. Is that typical to the process, or is that something you guys are interjecting into this new opportunity for artists to check it out? Or do they just kind of usually just step on stage wherever they're at and say, okay, here we go, and let's rehearse?
It depends. There are a couple dedicated rehearsal facilities in the country, but there's not enough of them.
Gotcha.
So there's some in Nashville, there's some up in the Northeast, there's one or two on the West Coast. But usually an artist will have to, because those places are always full, they'll just have to rent whatever venue they're having their first show out 3 or 4 days before the first show and do the rehearsals there, which can get quite costly for the artist. So this is an extra service we're able to offer our clients, and to figure out how to build it into the cost of what they're already getting from us. So
Yeah,
uh,
like I said,
it's yeah, it's efficient all around for everyone.
absolutely. And speaking of the touring artists and that kind of thing, I saw recently that Special Event Transportation, one of those network of companies you guys own, hit a big milestone in the last couple of months.
They did. We a couple weekends ago celebrated our 25th anniversary of SET, which was a company that was started by my mother in the basement of the house I grew up in. Uh, it
That's
was
that's
yeah,
amazing.
it was one of those. My dad was out on tour with the band Hootie and the Blowfish back in 1995, 1996, when they got really big and really popular. And he was just not happy with the trucking companies that he had hired to work for the band. So he and mom decided together that if they couldn't find somebody to do it right, they would just do it themselves. And out of necessity started SET. And today, SET kind of took over our old space in downtown Winston. They're operating right around 100 trucks, and they are probably the company that did the best throughout COVID, because they were able to immediately turn their attention and kind of pivot their operation to running freight.
Oh, okay.
And because everybody was stuck at home ordering stuff from Amazon every day, the freight industry picked up really, really heavily, and so they've been working full speed since COVID even started.
That's impressive that they were able to again, but that's kind of what the story of you guys and a lot of other people have been over the last years is pivoting and finding other ways to just be relevant and to be still be helpful to people you may not have considered in the past.
That's exactly right. Yeah,
On a more personal level, you started a web series over the last year that's called "Where's Catering."
I
Uh,
did.
what's that all about?
So, usually the first question anybody asks when they get to a venue for load-in is, "Hey, where's catering? Where can I get my breakfast?" So, I started a web series and named it that, and I kinda I had to hit pause, right after I started it because as a company, we figured out pretty quickly that we weren't really going to be supported by the government in the financing that we needed. So I had to turn my attention to helping our company figuring out different creative financing solutions to get us through COVID. So I didn't get as much of those out as I wanted to, but it was all about talking to the more experienced production managers and tour managers and guys that have really good stories to tell and really good advice to offer the younger guys like myself who are just getting started in the industry. So, I got to talk to some really good friends throughout that, and we'll have some more episodes of that soon. But it was just a really simple idea of, hey, what's one piece of advice you could offer a young guy like myself? What's one, why are you doing this in the first place? And then, what's one of those stories that you could never make up even if you tried?
That sounds amazing. I can't wait to hear some of those when you've got some new ones coming up. You also, though, had a new addition to your family, which I also think probably took a little bit of time away from Where's Catering.
Yeah,
So, congratulations on that.
thank you. Yeah, our little girl, she just turned 2 years old, and has been awesome. And that's been the sweet side of COVID is I've been able to stay home and with her some and with the family and have a lot of good quality time with her. And that's going to be one of the harder parts about coming back from COVID is going back out on the road, a couple times a month and leaving her and my wife behind.
Yeah. So, well, with your new sort of transition back out on the road, are you going to be living on a tour bus for weeks at a time, or are you just going to kind of pop in occasionally? What do you think your role's going to be this year?
My role I won't be on the tour bus, even though I would love to do that every now and again. I being a partner and being an owner, I have to really be hands on the business side of things at the office, but I do get to go out and pop in on these different tours and festivals and shake our clients' hands and give them some good quality time. So it'll be more of a couple days out and back for me.
Gotcha. Well, and I mentioned a couple of those clients that you're talking about earlier, and I know that and SES has put on a lot of popular acts over the years from a lot of different genres. And I know recently SES was there when Jobo dipped his toes back into touring when he did a small set here in Georgia. What was the feeling like being back in a venue finally?
That was awesome. If I can sum it up in one word, it was great on a few different levels. It was one of the first tours. I think it was one of the first tours to go out in a post or almost post COVID world.
Right.
But it was also the very first tour to ever leave our new warehouse. So like the adrenaline going into it and the build up to it was just insane, and it was great. And then to go out and see all these fans with their they're matching adrenaline levels, ready to see live music again. It was just a great feeling and a relieving feeling like, hey, people still want to do this. They still want to go to shows and we matter type thing.
Well, yeah, and because you'd already had a previous relationship with Joe Bonamassa, I know that he's done some other tours with you guys in the past. So there had to be I would think, some comfortability level with him, as he even stepped on stage and knew you guys kind of had things handled.
Yeah, we've been with Joe now since 2009. So what's that? 12 years now,
Wow.
and he's him and his whole team are just great people to work for. Very nice guys, loyal, and when he was ready to go out, he called us. He said, "I've got your back if you've got my back," type thing, and
Sure.
and let's go do some shows. So
That's fantastic. So, what did SES learn from just that small opportunity in the hopes of growing? What did you learn about being in a post COVID sort of situation and being in live venues?
well, we learned first of all that we're a lot rustier at doing shows than we thought, and we need to start practicing loading trucks now for the busy fall. um,
It's okay, you're allowed, right? There's a little
yeah,
bit of grace in the situation.
yeah, but on a more serious note, we learned that there is hope for returning back to normal, and that people still want to go see shows. They're ready when everybody else is ready, and to get there, everybody, without trying to sound too political, everybody just needs to go get their vaccine and let's get this thing behind us.
Right. And as far as from a company processes standpoint, have you seen in the limited time that kind of things are starting to happen, how the different states are requiring you as a company to behave or what you're trying to do?
We haven't gotten into those discussions on a state or government level, but we have been talking to the different concert promoters and then the different managements, and really working with them to come up with what policy is going to be best for us as vendors, what policy is going to be best for the artist, and what policy is going to be best for the show itself and for the promoter from a liability standpoint.
Right. So are you kind of leaving it more to the promoters to make sure they have everything in place and then inform you, or are you guys also doing your own due diligence?
A little bit of both. At the end of the day, it's going to be what the promoter says, but we are taking steps. As a staff, we've all gotten vaccinated and kind of just nip that in the bud. And we're open to whatever policies may be in place by that particular show.
Well, so, to kind of switch gears a little bit because you have provided, a ton of background information for people and what you guys do. I just want to know on a personal level, between the letters of AVL, which are audio, video, and lighting that you guys handle for concerts, which one of those is your particular favorite?
Audio. I love getting behind a console and mixing a show. It's almost therapeutic for me at this point.
I,
So
I totally understand that with my limited audio abilities. I'm as a voice actor, it's sort of the same thing for me is where it's when I get the sound that I'm looking for, there's just nothing that matches it. Or even as a fan that goes to a show, like that's what a lot of people are going to talk about, right? They're going to talk about the mix or, and usually it's not the positive sides of it. They're going to find something
sure,
like, man, that drum, you couldn't hear anything over the drums, or, the bass, there wasn't enough bass, or whatever it is for any musical act. That's the thing that really sticks out. But you guys, just from your social media and posts and other ways that I've been able to keep track of you guys, I really appreciate what the video and lighting side has really just come along and done in the last couple of years. It's for me, it's been mind blowing. Like I've never seen anything like what you guys are doing.
oh,
Um,
it's incredible.
and
It's
and where does that innovation come from?
a lot of really, really smart people, way smarter than myself, and yeah, just listen to these show designers and buy what they tell me to buy so I can do their shows. But
But you guys are also like building your own kind of rigging and that kind of thing too.
yeah, we do have a fabrication shop as part of our network, and but they're more building the G2 structures, so the big stages and the roofs that you see in baseball stadiums and football stadiums across the nation.
Okay. Because I know, like I said, I know that a lot of that innovation is coming like as you guys are progressing. And is this something that the talent are looking for, or is this something that you kind of bring to them and say, what do you think of us doing this?
It's a little bit of both. There's always when it comes down to designing a big show, there's an open line of communication between the talent or the people representing the talent and the show designers and the vendors all coming together to make a vision come to life.
All right. So, Michael, to kind of wrap it all up, if people want to keep track of special event services or, the events you guys are putting on, how would they be able to do that?
We're on Facebook and Instagram, Special Event Services, SES for short. And then we have, if you want to see the entire network of companies, concertstuff.com is our domain, and it's just got a link to all the other company websites on it.
That's fantastic. Well, Michael, thank you so much for your time. I hope this interview allows people to really check in and say, yes, things are still happening. They're progressing in a good direction. They've got to do their part and then just be excited when they get
Absolutely.
there. You guys are excited. The acts are excited. Everybody's excited. So just do your part.
Absolutely. That's the big message there.
All right, Michael. Well, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for being on the Sound of Southern Charm podcast, and good luck out there.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen.
Be sure to subscribe to the Sound of Southern Charm podcast to hear the other guests I have coming up. If you'd like more information, you can email me at stephen@stephengeorgevo.com. Thanks for listening.